Everybody. We welcome everybody to the Mike and Tom show with Rob as sidekick, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Kemper home health care. We'll always have these training. It is an absolute must for our agents to know how to present it, and there's nobody better than Mike and Tom to help us do that. And then we're going to talk about, they're going to share some other good stuff with you as well, but we always enjoy the time we spend with you, so I'm just going to turn it over to you guys and yeah, help us.
All right, well, we will do that. Good morning, everybody. And actually, we've upgraded. It's now the three amigos. It's myself, Mike Anderson, Dave Whalen here, right with me at AIM World headquarters, and then joining us remotely from high atop the Golden Care building in Minnesota is Tom Randall, and Tom will be with us a little bit later to handle the Q&A. So some things that most of you are familiar with, we are recording this, and because we're recording it, everybody's in lecture mode. Lecture mode means that they're all muted except for Rob and Tom and Dave and myself. That gives us a better quality recording. We will send the recorded versions of this up to Tracy later today. She'll be able to get it posted on your website. Another reminder, our next webinar, day 2 of the Three Amigos World Tour, that'll be June 16th, another Friday. We're going to spend some time and go over the resources that we bring to you. We'll look a little bit at one here in a second that span all the different product lines that we've got for you. So that'll be a tools and resources webinar. Just a quick note away from Kemper, the official paper app for the Secure CareShield product. The official paper app for CareShield just became available yesterday. We'll get them over to Tracy, get them up onto your website. We will add them to the forms site, which you're able to see right here. They'll be added to the form site pretty quickly. Same state limitations apply, no Cali, no New York, but most of the rest of it is available for you. So, and last, before we start, got a couple handouts over here in the control panel for you, the state variations, which kind of walk you through the different deductibles and things like that is on there, and then also some Q&A for the home healthcare product that we're going to take a look at here today. So as you can see, and Rob touched on this a minute ago, I'm opening up with our forms site that we have available for you. I'm told that there's a link available on your website, but I get enough phone calls from folks asking about it and emails asking about it that we're doing that. And here is the address. I'll give you all a quick 20 seconds to copy this down. This is where you can go to get everything you need for Mutual of Omaha and GTL and Kemper and Minnesota Life. So we've got yeah, go ahead.
All they have to, we have a Mutual of Omaha icon, and all they have to do is click on the icon, and this link comes up. You won't see the link, but it'll say the website, forms website for ACSIA agents. They click on it, and then the map. It's that easy.
Outstanding. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and go with that. I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. We're going to go to slideshow. We're going to get this thing started. That should get us up to full speed. Move this out of the way. Okay. As is always the case, we will do Q&A at the end. Dave is standing by if you've got any earth-shattering questions that you got to get covered right now. He'll take care of those. Otherwise, if it's a more global nature, we will cover them at the end. So, again, stipulation been the same way as it always has. We don't have availability of this product in New York or California. Most of the rest of the states, we've got a pretty good cross-section of that, so we're pleased with that. We're going to spend some time look at the carrier, talk about how the product itself works, the basic plan, how you add the optional rider to it, and what a great benefit that is for your clients in particular. What the triggers are, application process, which is very easy and for all intents and purposes and is guaranteed issue, medical notices. We'll take a look at the state availability, that type of thing. And as we do this, we think it's really a smart thing to do, and Rob kind of touches about this, but we think it's a good thing for you and for your clients to not set aside these products that you perceive as being lesser benefit products, particularly when they're the only thing the clients can qualify for. We're in the business of helping people. Yes, I get that we specialize in long-term care. We've been doing that for 40 years, specializing in long-term care. But as that market, the water there has gotten choppier, we have had to adapt. And one of the most important reasons, and I know Rob will touch on this a little bit later in the presentation, one of the most important reasons to do this is that it will bring your lead acquisition cost down and it'll bring your placement rate up if you take advantage of these opportunities, particularly this one, which is essentially guaranteed issue. Quick look at the carrier. It's actually written on Reserve National paper. Kemper's a big boy, more than 6 million policyholders, more than $8 billion with a B dollars in assets. You've all seen this probably before. We can make the slides available if you want to take a look at that later on. Rating is A, excellent by AM Best. So we're going to use Alabama forms. You have to pick something, so we just happen to pick that particular piece as we go through. Obviously, there are state differentiations. Keep in mind, and we're not going to get into this because it becomes a whole different thing. Texas is a distinctly different creature. If you have business in Texas, we would certainly be glad to talk with you offline about it, but it is so different that we don't want to derail the other 35 states during the course of this conversation. We could probably set a Kemper time for Texas down the road at some point in time. So the necessary forms for Alabama, get the application, get the outline of coverage. You do have a Medicare sup form that's a required piece here. That just basically says that the clients understand that this is not intended to deal with Medicare deductibles, not a substitute for Medicare supplement insurance, et cetera. And then, of course, the guide for Medicare. These are all required parts of this. They're all available on the form site that you saw us take a look at a little bit before. Some of the basics with regard to outline of coverage, and we will talk more about this here very shortly, but it spells out the very specific scheduled benefits that you have, benefit periods, that type of thing. Also covers the eligibility piece, prescription drug benefit, which is a huge part of this, and it's a real driver of sales. And then the guaranteed renewability portion of it. It specifically stipulates that it's not long-term care insurance, that it's in fact a standalone home health care policy, and it does have limitations. But remember, it's better than nothing. And they have to get signatures on these pages. So now, the home health care benefit, you have 3 segments of it that we deal with. The first is the home health care benefit itself. It has a $150 per day maximum. Some of the policies vary in length. There are some at $365, some at $360, some at $330, and some at $270. That's why it would be really good idea to go get that state variations form out of the, hold on a second. Had somebody singing in the hallway. They must be tuning up for their next show. But anyway, you got a number of different variations. It'd be a great thing to go and grab that so you know the states that you're working in, what it is that you have to work with. One of the very unique pieces of Kemper's structure is that Kemper will allow you to sell 2 policies to the same person. Since this is an indemnity plan, it's going to pay out even if your clients have Medicare or other health insurance paying. And if you do take advantage of the 2 policy opportunity, you're looking at making up to $108,000 worth of benefits in this particular section available for your clients. Important to note, if you do sell 2, and we call that stacking, if you sell 2, it doesn't double the length of time. Your max time is still 365. It doubles the amount of money that they have within that 365-day period of time, and those are service days. So that can easily stretch out to well beyond 1 year into the second year, depending on how often they make use of it. All right. So, and we'll look at the schedule here in just a second for that. In addition to the home health care benefit, they also have a home health care aid benefit that's available. And again, it doubles, gets you up to a maximum of $80 per day. It does have a 60-day maximum. So you're looking at a $2,400 maximum benefit on that. Again, it can double. A number of these states have a requirement that they have a hospital confinement of not less than 3 days prior, but several of the key states, as you can see listed down here, waive that requirement. And again, this is all contained in that state variations form that I talked about that's over there in the toolbar to the right-hand side of your screen. Okay, so the schedule on these indemnity benefits, any combination of these items that totals up to $150 per day can be utilized. All right, don't get hung up on medical social services. That's not something to spend a lot of time on. All right, it's not something that your client is going to make continued repeated use of. That might be a 1 or 2 time at the max thing. So don't fixate on that. But the kinds of things that your clients are going to need when they're in a home care situation are covered here. I know had to deal with this actually summertime of 2016 with my mother being at home on home care, and they had a physical therapist coming in routinely because they want to make sure that the motion and the ability to move and such is not compromised by that situation. All right, so they take care of that, handle skilled nursing, general nursing. You can see the list. Not going to read it off for you, but again, any combination of these items here totaling up to $150 max. Now, if they stack, it doubles that max up to $300. Significant opportunity there, particularly when you factor in that this is, and you'll see why in a little bit, for all intents and purposes, this thing is guaranteed issue. So it does max out at $300. Prescription drug benefit. This is one that really, really is a good deal for your clients, okay? Subject to the deductible, and there's a little bit of variation on that. Subject to the deductible, your clients can get reimbursed as much as $300 on the retail cost of prescription drugs. And these are some real drug tags off of prescriptions that were filled. And you can see very quickly that even with that $50 deductible that they have for the prescription drug benefit, and the 80% still going to get reimbursed very, very quickly. And when you see the prices in a little bit, you're going to see what a great opportunity this is. With the double, with the stack on this, now your clients are going to get up to a total of $500. In some cases, it could be more, could be all the way up to $600, depending on the state. But they're going to get reimbursed for medications, prescription drugs that they are getting issued and filled. And it is retail costs, and you'll see a great example of that right here. Retail costs on this particular one, this is Tom's. This is back before he got healthy. Now he looks like Superman, but this was a couple years ago. The retail price of this drug, $450. Okay, they would reimburse up to $250 for that particular prescription. That's a nice chunk of change to have. And they don't care. It doesn't matter what the copay is or anything like that. This is the number that they look at, that retail price. And I guess Tom was up filling these prescriptions at 1 o'clock in the morning. So some examples on premium. We'll see the charts here in a little bit. In this particular case, for a 65-year-old, you've got an annual premium of $338.95. You take that drug benefit off there. Effective yearly cost, $7.41 a month. That's about 25 cents a day. So you take and you got the basic benefit that we talked about with the schedule, add that prescription drug to it, you got a hell of a deal. And that's just the base plan, okay? And you can see, we'll just, for consistency's sake, we're going to stay with a 61-year-old client, No particular reason. I'm just going with that. As you can see, the premium here is $335.65 or 28 bucks a month. That's for your base. If you double it, obviously premiums double. Really, really affordable, particularly when you factor in that the first thing that happens is they get reimbursed 250 bucks for prescription drugs, so that takes that net cost way, way down. Premiums stay the same for pretty much the first 15 years of the age bracketing. It's important to note, but not a big thing, that as this client that we're talking about who's 61, as they continue to keep the policy and they get older, once they reach age 65, they're going to move to that higher premium bracket. It's going to go up a whopping $3.30 or $4.30 there. So as they get older, they'll move to that next highest bracket, When they finally get to age 86, we don't have the number, but there's one final adjustment to the premium, and then it stays locked for as long as they keep the policy. Again, at the lower ages, this nets out to about 78 cents a day. It's a great deal. A little bit more there. Now, the optional benefit rider. And we'll see the pricing, the combo pricing for the two of them here in a minute. This optional benefit rider is a huge, huge opportunity, particularly if you're working with clients that are Medicare age, 65 and above. And we'll show you why here in just a second. The first thing that's available with the OBR is a physical exam benefit. Got to have the policy in effect for at least 12 months. Once that happens, it pays a benefit for a physical exam. If they actually have the exam, it'll give them a benefit of $150 for each 12-month period of time. Okay, Medicare does not pay for physicals. So if you've got a client that's over 65 years old, and you'll see that the add-on cost isn't very much, they're going to more than get their money back just by going in, and not to mention the benefits of continually having their health monitored closely. This annual physical exam that's available to them is a huge opportunity. In addition to the physical exam, they make available a vision benefit. You got to have the policy for 6 months before that kicks in. $40 for an eye exam, $75 towards the cost of lenses and frames. All right. They can do that once every 24 months. Hearing benefit, hearing aids. Again, you got to have the policy, in this case, in effect for 12 months. It reimburses $50 towards the hearing exam and $250 towards the cost of the hearing aids. And again, you have a 24-month period of time. This is a benefit that, as far as we know, you can't find anywhere else. Huge opportunity for folks that are on a fixed income to be able to chip this away at this, as well as picking up the physical, the drug reimbursement, et cetera. Also got an optional piece of this is the ambulance benefit. Pays up to $100 for any ambulance trip, and they'll pay a max of $200 in any 12-month period of time. And these benefits are all regardless of anything else. The client does not have to be on claim for the home care portion to exercise these. They exist separately. And they also make available an in-hospital private duty nurse if that's something that folks need. Pays up to $80 for any 24-hour period of time where they are confined in the hospital. It is limited to 30 days in a 12-month period of time. There has to be a requirement for this. It's got to be authorized by the attending physician. And it would have to be a service that's charged directly to your client, for which they'll then reimburse them, rather than part of the hospital tab. And as you can see, it's not payable if it's an immediate family member. So now you're adding the basic benefit plus the prescription drug benefit plus the optional package. And so now we're going to take a look at the premiums here. Again, 61 to 64, you're now up to $477. I round up a lot. You're up to $477 for the combination of the base plan, the pharmacy benefits, and the extra benefits. If you stack it up, you're looking at, rough numbers, $950 a year. about $1.05 a day in that 41 to 50-year-old age bracket there. About the same for 51 to 55 with that whopping 55-cent cost increase there. And it's $1.34 a day for age 65 to 70. That's, hard to argue with that, and that's before you net it back out by making use of physicals, eyeglasses, hearing aids, etc. And again, the site has the different pricing for, for the available states. So you're able to go in there and pull, and it's just that. That's exactly what you see. You see one chart for the base plan. You see another chart for the home health care plan with the extra benefits. Nothing complicated, no slide rules needed, any of that kind of stuff. And you take a quick look at...
question?
Yeah, of course.
If they're, say, 84 years old, can they keep it the rest of their life?
Absolutely. I talked about that before. Once they reach, if they're 84, they buy it at 84, and you can sell it all the way up to 84. And they pay that $743 price. When they reach 86, it's going to have one final adjustment. And again, I don't know what that is. Not trying to hide it, just don't know what it is. One final adjustment, and then they can keep it until they're 104 years old. They just pay that premium every year.
So you just add the base to the extra benefits, so that gives them the total?
No. This is the base with the extra benefits. This is your total. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
So as you can see, it's not like onerously expensive. And when you, for a 65-year-old, when you net out just the pharmacy part of that overall cost. So let's take the pharmacy at $250 and the physical at $150. Their net cost for a year is $81.
That's fantastic. I just did one for Oregon. 81 to 85 is $51.50 a month. It's nothing.
There you go. It's a great opportunity. That's what I said. There's a perception, I think, for some folks that these are limited benefits and as such are limited value. But when you have clients that this is all that they can get, that's a different story. When you've got clients over the age of 65, just the benefits that aren't available through other insurance, so to speak, other coverage, right there is significant. So policy triggers, all right? For the base plan, and remember, the pharmacy doesn't have anything to do with qualification for triggers. The physical, eyeglasses, hearing aids, ambulance, none of that stuff has anything to do with these right here. These are pretty standard, right? Pretty standard triggers. It's 2 out of 5 ADLs or severe cognitive impairment. So this is pretty much the exact same thing we deal with every day in the quote-unquote traditional long-term care or hybrid market. So this is not something where you've got to learn a whole different set of qualifications. So 2 out of 5 or cognitive impairment. You get something from the doctor, cert letter just like you would for a traditional plan, and you're off to the races.
So even if somebody has state aid, because we get a few of those,
not a question on the app. Not a question on the app. SSDI. Not a question on the app.
They can keep that money. So if you have a client you're working with traditionally, and their mom's 82 and they're not eligible, you can actually ask them about their parents. This would be a great plan for their parents.
Yes. Yes. Okay. The only one of the ADLs that's not covered here is. Oh yeah, it's a great opportunity. The only one of the 6 ADLs that's not addressed here in terms of the qualification process is continence, but everything else is covered. Restoration of benefits, it does have a provision for that, but it does have some fairly specific and strict, if you will, requirements to trigger that restoration of benefits. They can't receive care at home or from an aide for 180 consecutive days, and more to the point, the primary care physician is going to have to certify that the covered person has actually recovered to the point of not needing the care. They're just not walking away from it to trigger a reset period. And there's no limit to the number of times that can happen. Take a quick look at the application, a tiny bit of variation from state to state. Again, we just had to pick one. This happens to be the one. So really simple, really easy to use. And as you'll see here very shortly, it really comes down to two questions for qualification purposes, and they are non-medical questions. Okay, and we're looking right now at the app for the home healthcare product. So it's 2 pages, requires a signature in a couple spots. Bank draft is in the mix if they want to make use of that. Look specifically for the applicant information here. This is all fairly familiar to you. You're dealing with this kind of thing all the time anyway, so no sense spending a lot of time here. Where you get into the details, this is the important stuff. So everybody kind of sit up and refocus for a second. If any answers to these questions 2, 3, and 4, those have got to be no answers. If your answers are yes, the stop sign comes up. And those questions are really, really basic. Okay, are you intending to replace current health care coverage with this? Can't do it. Are you living in a nursing home, assisted living facility, or getting home care now? Can't do it. Are you physically unable to perform routine activities of daily living? Can't do it. Got to have no answers there. Final question is, are they acknowledging receipt of the outline of coverage, which you have to give to them? Okay, so again, you got to answer 2, 3, and 4, no, or the big stop sign comes up. Payment mode decision gets made. Some detail things, pay close attention here. Date of application can only be selected if the client is paying annually. Otherwise, it's automatically going to be date of issue. That'll be determined by the home office once the policy is approved. They can select a future date down the road if they want to have that coinciding with a draft date that they select for bank draft purposes. And you'll notice here you have a choice of having the policy delivered to yourself or to your applicant, up to you as to how you want to go with that. If you're going to get involved with power of attorney paperwork, that's going to have to be part of the application packet. So you can't just note that it's there. You're going to actually have to have the documentation that shows that. We don't get a lot of issues with that, but just to be aware. Some handling with regard to bank draft and such. The legal residence address is going to determine the state of the policy that they're going to get. You're not going to submit a remittance. You're not going to put any deposit premium down if they're going with monthly. You're not going to select the date of application as we noted before. All right, and you want to fill out the bank draft all the time because it's the mode that they use for renewal purposes. Just simplifies everything, keeps the cost down. So again, key thing, you're going to do a bank draft authorization regardless of what the mode is so that they use that to do their renewal premium collections. This is a training app, so obviously you're not going to incorporate any part of this into what you're actually doing. Medical notices is also part of this. We talked a little bit about this before. Just making sure everybody knows this is not MedSup insurance. It does require both an agent signature and a client signature. Kemper does have an e-app available. We've gone over that previously, not going to spend a lot of time on that right now, but it is an available function. It does seem to be problematic because of the use of both text and email to handle the signatures. You may be better served to just take them, scan them, email them over to folks, get them back that way. It's up to you. We'll work with you on the e-apps, but it does seem to be the handoff between the agent and the client where they're getting the link and clicking on it and opening up the application. That does seem to be problematic in some cases. So it might be easier for you just to go with good old-fashioned paper. Again, the key thing that this is notifying the clients is that there are no benefits for Medicare or Medicare Sup. Specific for care in the home, that's what this takes the place of. Again, an agent signature, an applicant signature, and a date are required on this form. Applications can be mailed directly to AIM or Golden Care. We'll show you the map here in a minute, or you can send them direct to Kemper Home Healthcare. There's the address, and again, these slides are available for you. So if you really need that hard copy address, you can get it. State approval update. Oregon is now, should be in the blue category, so forgive my lack of crayon finesse there. Oregon is now approved. Washington, Montana, NODAC, Wisconsin are still pending. California, Florida, New York still retaining their position in the coveted axis of evil. Nothing going on in any of those states as it stands right now. Not really a change there. We do have that little grid there in the eastern seaboard that seems to be particularly difficult to deal with. Also includes New Jersey, lovely and spacious Rhode Island as well. So they do, they're kind of restrictive up there. Not much we can do on that. The carrier's looking at it, but honestly, they're not going to expend a lot of time and energy if the states are going to provide that much pushback on a service for their clients. It makes more sense for them to work on.
That appears to be more states than I recall.
It's the same one, with the exception of Oregon. Yeah, I wish it was the case where we'd picked up a bunch, but I think we're up to 36 or 37 now, so
yeah,
that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. So, all right, and then the map, most of you know about this already. AIM, for the most part, handles the west out here, the Wild Wild West. In addition to the west, we've got Michigan, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. Golden Care.
You said Oregon is approved?
Oregon's
I just looked up their they have applications. Good, because I'm going to buy one for a friend of mine.
All right, well, there you go. I like it. See, Kreider's already writing business.
There you go, man.
Keeping the winning streak going. Anyway, Golden Care handles the east. Headquarters there outside Minneapolis. You can see, again, most of you are familiar with this. If you got questions, you can give us a call. The forms map is also colored in such a way that shows the difference between the AIM states and the Golden Care states. So I think at this point in time, Dave, let's go ahead and unmute some folks. Unless you have questions that kind of aggregated there during the course of the presentation, we'll unmute folks. We'll bring Tom out of his cage, and we'll do some Q&A. Again, if you've got barking dogs or tea kettles or whatever, or if you're on a cell phone, I'd ask you to mute your phone so that we don't have a lot of background noise, which we really seem to get on speakerphone situations. So, and you can do that by hitting *6 on your phone. Otherwise, we're getting everybody unmuted here as quick as we can.
Hi, everybody. This is Tom Randall. Good job again, as always, Mike. You did a good job, so you probably won't have tons of questions because it was pretty thorough for a pretty nice, simple product. And I will answer or attempt to answer any questions you guys have. I do want to point out, and Mike mentioned it, but it's important for you guys to remember, the outline of coverage is one thing that's a little bit different with this policy. You can't just drop it off at the clients. You got to make sure you get 2 copies of that, leave them 1, and then get 1 signed and make sure you return it with your app. That's one area a lot of agents forget about.
Really good point. Tom's he's our designated question guy. Y'all have probably heard of the designated hitter. Tom's the designated question guy. So fire away with Q&A, and Tom will take care of you.
Hey, Tom, this is Dave. Lee Eisenberg got a question. He's concerned that in Ohio they have a difficult time getting receipts from pharmacies that show retail costs. Have you ever had that come up?
You know what? Supposedly, by law, they're supposed to give it to you if you ask for it. I gave my example because I was curious because I never remembered seeing that retail cost on there. But I did find out that besides veterans benefits, that's always something that's going to be a problem with VA meds and stuff. You're not going to have a lot of luck with the retail for sure. But otherwise, supposedly a pharmacy is supposed to put it on there, and a lot of times they like to do it because they're showing the value of some of the discount programs they use and things like that. So supposedly, from what I've heard from the field, is that if you ask and tell your clients, take advantage and tell your pharmacist, I really need the retail cost included, they supposedly can get it done. But I guess it'd be case per case if you had problems.
Okay. Any other typed in questions, Dave?
No, I covered a bunch along the way. Lee was asking about the pharmacy benefit, and then, Philip Sahadi brought up something. He thought he had heard somewhere that Kemper doesn't care if you claim against both policies at the 2 policies at one time. So basically, you double your daily to $300 a day for 365 days. or you can claim against the two policies back to back. So $150 a day for 720. And I've never heard that, Phil. I've actually pushed it back on you to ask you where you heard that, because as far as I know, the only way you can claim against two policies is to claim against both policies at the same time.
Yes, actually the policy language says that you have a specific period of time once the claim starts to notify the carrier, and that's what keeps somebody from going back to back and extending the claims period to 700 or 720 service days. So you cannot, you don't extend the period of time that your client can be on claim. It will stack and double the amount of benefit, but it won't double the amount of time. Other
Tom,
questions?
is your shop, Tom, concur with that?
Yeah, I was going to say that I concur as well. We've been training that way throughout, that it's definitely not going to stack on top of each other. It's going to be at the same time. So.
Right, and we actually got that from the TPA that handles all the claims and stuff. So, all right, other questions for Mr. Randall out there this morning?
This is Jay from New York.
Hi there.
Yeah, oh, hi. I assume you can take applications by phone?
You know, I think you can with this. It's such a simple underwriting process that you certainly can, and take a paper app by phone and then send it out to them if that's what you're talking about. You need wet signatures on.
And they also have an e-app as well, Jay.
How do you know they're being honest on questions 2, 3, and 4?
They're assigning the app.
Yep.
I mean, is there a verification process?
Any of these policies like this, any of these policies like this that do the light underwriting up front, they're going to come back at claim time and they're going to make sure all the ducks were in a row. It's pretty common procedures. That's why there's a pre-existing condition clause and stuff like that. So.
Okay, that's very fair.
All right, anything else out there? Tom's raring to go here this morning. He's been loosening up in the bullpen for the better part of 30 minutes, so he's ready.
Yeah, no, you did a good job. I figured that there wouldn't be a lot, because that was the nice part about this policy. Again, like Mike had said, remember the key with this is it's not really, try not to look for what it doesn't do, look for what it does. And I'll tell you what, when you're sitting in front of people in the long-term care trenches and you get somebody who just can't get other coverage, that's where these policies shine. And we've got a couple nice policies like this that help people out who just can't get long-term care health-wise.
This is probably a good time for Rob to do his pitch about leads and how apps turn into leads thanks to the talents of the lovely Cynthia Harris.
Well, everybody's always talking about how do I get more leads, how do I get my LER up, lead efficiency report is, and then we also have a lot of the teachers we're working with, and some of the states, they don't make a lot of money, they can't afford much, it's hard to get the traditional plans down low enough, maybe they just can't qualify, whatever. When you need a plan that's not, it's in the $50 range for the most part or less, or if they're on state aid, can't afford much, maybe the family wants to pay for it. Whatever the case might be, when you sell one of these policies, it's going to give you 10 more leads. It's pretty much a guaranteed issue. If you answer no on the health question, it's going to be issued. So you sell a husband and wife even, you're going to get 20 leads. Figure out what it costs per lead. Do 1 or 2 of those a month and multiply that out. You get 2 a month, that's 24. That's 24 applications. That's 480 leads. Am I doing that right? I probably did it wrong, but work the math on that. You do one a month even. Goodness sakes, that's 10 more leads. 120 a year more leads. If you want to get leads, that's the way to do it. Plus, it helps your LER. You get paid a little bit. You help the client. I don't see any downside to it whatsoever. Even if they qualify for other benefits, why not mention this plan also? If they have extra money, it's a great plan for them to use, and they're pretty much going to get their money back. The one I just was thinking of is a friend of mine. She's 84 and a half, and it's $51.50 a month. I'm going to pay for it for her. She's a close friend of mine. $51.50, that's nothing. Come on. You probably know some people. Get it for your mom and dad, whatever.
Also keep in mind, we talk a lot about helping folks. We talk a lot about lead efficiency and these other kinds of things. We talk about putting mute on when the phone's ringing. Keep in mind, and you've heard me talk about this a lot of times on these calls, out of a theoretical 100 leads that you get, there's probably 40 that aren't actionable for a variety of different reasons, and one of them is health issues. Some of them are financial issues. If you could drag between 10 and 15 of those back onto the playing field and get an application from somebody that wouldn't health qualify otherwise or wasn't going to financially qualify like Rob talked about otherwise, if you do this consistently, you are going to have a significant impact on your down the road bottom line, plain and simple. And not only do you help your clients, but you help yourself. To me, I know that most of us think we're in this for philanthropic reasons, but let's be honest. You got to survive. If you're able to bring 10, 12, 15 leads back into play every year, that means that 60 policies that you're getting paid on a little bit farther down the road. Pretty hard to argue with that. So, all right, other questions. Great comments, Rob. Thank you.
My pleasure.
While you guys are chewing on it, interrupt if you have a question. This is Tom again. Make sure you remember that prescription drug deal, and I know he hit it hard and did a good job explaining it, but literally one of the problems we've had with agents out there is that this policy sometimes seems too good to be true, because there are times that you're selling, especially if you get a younger person who's got some health issues, so they got a shoebox full of meds. Those are the guys you sometimes get these policies in place, and they're practically free, if not free, because of the fact they're getting that full $250 back a year in prescription drug reimbursements. So remember, if you ever get the "is it too good to be true," the reason that they can do that at Kemper is just for the reason that you'd expect. It's breakage. It's people who, there's clients out there who are too lazy to keep receipts and send them in. They forget about it or they don't do it. There's agents certainly out there selling this plan who kind of talk about it a little bit, but they don't stress it, so the clients don't even hardly realize it's there. And there's just people who just plain don't get around to it, who have every good intention to. And that's kind of like when you give at Christmas, you give out those restaurant gift certificates and people don't use them. They rely on breakage. That's why they sell them so inexpensively at times, because they know 60% of the people never use them. Don't do that to your clients. I always stress to my agents, take advantage of it. When you're out there, it'll help you get sales. It'll help you protect more people, but it'll really help them as well if you really stress. Take the time. Keep those receipts. When you get the refills, those count. When you get a refill as long as it's a doctor prescribed refill, it counts towards that prescription drug deal. Take advantage of it, because you'll pay for a huge chunk of your premium.
Well said. All right. One quick reminder, we do have the state variations chart. We do have the FAQ over here in the handout section. Grab them, get them quick while we are still here. Unless we've got any other questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap this baby up. Okay, I guess that'll do it then. The signature T-shirts and laminates from the Three Amigos World Tour kickoff event will be available in the lobby on your way out. We thank you all for making the time available. It's always great to spend some time with you on a Friday. We will be back in a couple weeks after we revise the set list a little bit, and we'll look at some other new things. Quick note, grab the phone numbers if you got questions on the Golden Care side. You can get Tom and the crew at 800-842-7799. If you got questions on the AIM side, it's 800-672-7202. With that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rob. Have a great weekend. Tom, appreciate you being with us. David, we'll take care of it. We'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks now.